Welcome to the Grounded in Godcast, a space where we explore different perspectives, we learn about each other, and we attempt to combat that natural tension that society creates between us because of our differences to become a stronger, unified body in Christ. And of course, through it all, we stay grounded in God. I am so excited today. We've got one of my best pals, for lifelong best pals, really. We have Abby Heitzman. We became friends, fourth grade?
Yeah, like as soon as I moved here.
That's right. Mrs. Day's class. What a good time. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. So I guess I'll just catch you up on what's going on in my life.
Please do.
I'm currently an English MA candidate at Wichita State University.
Oh my gosh.
So we're on like break right now, but I'm not really on break because I'm working through break on a research project.
Okay.
But I'm sort of like in the middle of everything right now. This is definitely like an important part in my like academic career.
Wow.
Where I have to make the big decisions.
Okay. So how are you doing making those big decisions? Because me, not a great decision maker. How are you taking that on?
It's a lot of false starts, I would say.
Yep.
So like initially wanting to do one thing and then ending up doing something completely different. That's where I am like with my thesis.
Oh, wow.
I have to do
oh my gosh.
like a research project for my thesis. And it originally started as me being like, I just want to do a general like literature review.
Yeah.
And now it's evolved to the point where I'm probably going to be going out and doing surveys and like figuring out how people actually talk to each other compared to how it's represented in novels.
Whoa.
And looking specifically at the Philippine English dialect.
Wow.
So it's like gotten very specific at this point.
Wow. It sounds like it. It sounds like a lot of things that are like way over my head. So I commend you big time for doing that and pursuing that. Like, I can't think of a better person for that too. You're perfect for it. Yeah. So let's take a step back for those of my viewers that might not know you. So give me a little bit of insight into kind of who you are. What are your hobbies? Where you're from? Just kind of give us a little glimpse of that.
Okay. So like we sort of mentioned, I moved to Holton in fourth grade. Before that, I lived like on a farm, so I'm like a rural girl, I guess.
Yeah, there we go.
And I'm half Filipino, and my dad is white, so I'm mixed. And I guess like my general hobbies and interests would be like literature and writing. So I have a degree in English, and I also like dabble in creative writing. And I also consider myself like a creative person. So I do a lot of like art projects and stuff.
Sure. Oh, and she's very, very talented. I will absolutely, for both art and creative writing, I could vouch.
Well, thank you.
Yes. And speaking of creative writing, I have something to show you.
Oh, the anticipation. Is this what I think it is?
It is.
Oh my god.
It's all of them. It's
good
all
to
of
know
our
that
stories.
I was like really bad at writing in the margins at this age too.
You are totally fine because I reread some of the ones that I wrote and it was like so cringy.
I don't even remember most of this.
Oh man, girl. So I have your notebook because I was, I think you gave it to me because I said I was gonna like type it up or something. We had this is the worst story. I'm gonna throw this away after. Like, we were gonna make a book. Anything's possible. Okay, made of these short stories. That was legendary. Journal of a Ghost Friend was like what tied it all together. But I'm pretty sure you designed a cover for some of these.
Oh yeah, we've got illustrations.
I mean, it's the whole deal. You had illustrations. You just like created the whole thing. I mean, you were really the creative director on all of this.
Wow.
But my mom brought it up yesterday. She's like, "You're seeing Abby," who, by the way, she says hello.
Oh yeah.
And she was like, "You're seeing Abby, right?" And I was like, yeah. And she's like, don't you have her stories and stuff? I was like, oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, I think like one of the main things I remember from doing this is like how much like purple prose I had, like unnecessary description, like super dramatic.
Yes, that's hilarious. Like, I think when I read yours compared to mine, I'm like, oh my Lord, it's no wonder I didn't follow my dream of writing and you did, because you obviously are much more talented than I am, which is fine. That's how it should be. But there's a line in here. I don't remember what it was. Long story short, I apparently had an 8-year-old get a full-time position at an architectural firm. I was like, in what world does that make any sense?
It's the Doogie Howser of architects.
Right? Well, I mean, in relation to, our title, anything's possible. So anyway, we'll put this away for now. But I
What
was
a
like,
throwback.
seriously. Thank you for giving us a little tidbit about yourself. So next up, I have an idea. I've got a standard deck, 52 playing cards, and there's a question associated with each of them. So to get to know you a little bit, I'm going to have you draw some cards. We can do them one by one. You draw a card, I'll get the question, you just answer. It's pretty standard, pretty simple. I don't think they're shuffled, but it doesn't really matter if you're just randomly. Mm-hmm. I play solitaire, so they're probably in order. Pick a card, any card.
Okay, I've got 10 of hearts.
Alrighty. Okay, the question is, what is your proudest accomplishment?
I guess, I'm trying to think of things that are like important to me, but a lot of them don't seem very important, like compared to other people.
No, see, that's the best. I think if it's important to you, it's important.
I would say my like graduate teaching appointment that I have at school.
Oh, for sure. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so it is a teaching position. I teach English 101, and it allows me to like get tuition free.
Oh.
On my, so made my master's possible.
That's amazing. I think that's an incredible accomplishment. Number 2. Watch you draw the same card.
Queen of Hearts.
Oh. Okay, question. What makes you laugh the most?
Stupid stuff.
I know, right?
Honestly, just like the more bizarre and just out of left field. I love it.
Twitter is one of the best places for just like bizarre memes and jokes and stuff. Like, I'll be laughing at night and my dad will be like, "And what?" Like, he's trying to watch TV. He's like, "Can you?" I'm like, "Yeah, sorry." Just the creativity of Twitter is just amazing.
I love the posts that are like Frankenstein together, referencing all these different memes. And it's like,
know.
Imagine someone 100 years from now trying to explain this.
That's funny. Okay, number 3. That is funny though. Like, even in 10 years, people will be like, "What?"
Yeah. 7 of clubs.
Question. What is your favorite childhood memory? That's a lot of, childhood's
A lot of
pretty
memories
broad.
to pick from.
Exactly.
I guess one that is like really clear in my mind, and I think of like pretty often for some reason is, I think it was my 4th birthday.
Okay.
I had like friends over and family, and I remember it distinctly because I really wanted a pig at the time. I lived on a farm, so I was like, I want a pig. I want to raise a pig. And my parents were like, well, you're 4.
Well,
so,
you're 4.
So my grandpa got me like a big stuffed animal pig.
Oh, that's a nice consolation prize, I would say. You're 4.
They're like, we don't
That's
know
funny.
if we want you like raising an animal, and we have to like convert the fence into a pen, and that's too much work.
That is the funniest thing.
I was obsessed with pigs at the time.
Can't you make that like a guinea pig noise?
God. I feel like that would sound really weird on the mic.
It would probably sound impeccable. It's just that HQ. That's like one thing I always remember associated with you. Whenever someone does that, I'm like, Abby can do that. Final question.
Okay.
Hope it's a good one. If it's not, we'll cheat.
8 of spades.
Question. Aside from necessities, what is one thing that you cannot go a day without?
It's probably pretty basic, but I guess my phone.
That's fair, yeah. Okay, let's take the phone out of it.
Okay. Other than that,
I would probably say my phone too, so that's fair.
I think that's just like the modern condition. But
I know. We're just
one
hypnotized.
thing I can't go a day without. Yeah, there's so many like just little things that
I know.
I guess like a nice cup of hot tea.
That's a great answer, I think. I think that's wonderful. What kind of tea? What's your cup of tea?
Actually, lately I've been drinking a lot of mate.
Okay.
Which is like not exactly a tea, but it's similar concept. Like comes from leaves, highly caffeinated, but it's like a South American drink.
That's what we want. Highly caffeinated. So, well, thank you. That was great. I think that was a good little.
I like that idea.
Thank you. Yeah, I was playing solitaire yesterday. Don't make fun of me. But I think I was holding the cards. I'm like, it'd be so cool to do something with the cards. And you could just pick a number between 1 and 52. But what's the fun in that? Mm-hmm. So anyway, thank you. So now we can kind of hop into your testimony, if you want, and give me a little bit of glimpse into what that's looked like for you over time. And I know growing up is different from when you transition from high school to college. I think that's huge in testimonies. So let's hear a little bit about you and yours.
Yeah, so I was born into a Christian family, and when I was really little, we attended a Quaker church, but it wasn't a very traditional Quaker church. We had like a pastor and structured services, and we sang hymns and everything. So we attended that church until I think I was about 10. That was when we moved to Holton. We started attending a Lutheran church. And honestly, there wasn't really a good reason behind that. My dad was like, we're going to just go to a couple churches and see which ones we like. We happened to go to the Lutheran church first, and he's like, yeah, I like this. So I stayed in the Lutheran church all throughout like high school and everything. I was catechized and confirmed Lutheran. Okay. So basically I had to like memorize the doctrines and what certain things meant so that I could take communion. And I attended another Lutheran church in Wichita for a few years. But this past year, in 2020, I just recently changed churches.
Sure.
So now my sister Gladys and I are attending a Quaker church again.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And this one is, I would say, kind of similar to the one we attended as children, but a little more like, I guess like mainstream Quaker.
Sure.
So like we have a person who like speaks every Sunday, but we don't really call her a pastor.
Okay. Okay.
And we have optional hymns like before the actual service, and we have like a quiet waiting time.
I like that quiet waiting time idea.
And I can't like really put my finger on what was like the one deciding factor in changing churches, but I knew that like my personal relationship with God was different from, I think, how I was taught in the Lutheran church, and maybe how my parents see theirs.
Okay.
So just like the building up the little things.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So for those of my viewers and maybe even myself, a lot of denominations, it's hard to keep track of their beliefs and traditions that they have. So why don't you talk me through a little bit about the Quaker denomination, would you call it?
I think denomination is probably like a fairly accurate term, and I'm not like a Quaker expert.
That's all right.
If I get something wrong, that's on me. But
no, that's all right.
There are definitely a lot of varieties of Quakers, and some of them, like the extremely traditional ones, don't have pastors. Their services are entirely quiet waiting times. And they usually sit in like either a circle or square, so everyone's facing each other.
Oh, wow. I like that.
Yeah. I think that's more common in England nowadays, which is where it started, but there are branches in America. But I think most of the ones in America are more similar to my church. Okay. Sort of like a blend between your typical like worship service and the quiet waiting time.
Okay. I enjoy that. How do you like that setup?
I actually really like it. It feels more like organic to me.
Oh, good. That's great.
Yeah, and like I genuinely just enjoy going to the services. It's really sad now because they're just doing like Zoom services.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a bummer, but I'm sure we'll be opened up again soon.
I'm hoping and praying so for a lot of people. I mean, just this morning I was talking to someone who had said that they grew up Catholic, and then they kind of had a small disconnect, and then they started going to a church in Topeka, and it was just different, and they just found so much value in community. And I think community in general is just so important for our faiths and to get involved with and plugged in with others like you. And so I just really hope that we can all meet together when it's safe to do so. So in terms of what you said about that quiet time or that silent worship, is that something that you've found that is like one of your favorite ways to worship? Because I know worship looks different with a lot of people. For me, it could be music. Music's one of my favorite ways to worship, but I think there's value in finding, that quiet time. And so what does that look like for you, in which type of worship you feel closest to God with?
Well, it's actually funny. One of the like first or second services that I attended at the Quaker church was actually like the sermon was about types of worship.
Oh, cool.
And basically like, is there a certain way we should worship? Like, what does worship mean to you? And so that got me thinking a lot about my relationship to like quiet waiting time versus like prayer, versus like singing and dancing, and just different types of ways to worship. And I think what I came up with was that I really liked silent waiting time in particular because it does place the emphasis on like the inner light and like God inside you.
Sure.
and it reminds me a lot of like meditation
Yeah.
and like Eastern philosophies.
Sure.
So it's more of something where like you're connecting the mind, body, and spirit. So I like that a lot.
I love that. I think there's something definitely to be said about, that quiet prayer time. I think in this go, go, go mentality of society right now, you find value in being busy. And so I think it's important to slow down, stop, and have that quiet time, because that could be some important time that God might, convey a message to you or just give you clarity on something. And I think that's just something, specifically me, like I could definitely do better at, and I think a lot of people would find value in if they just stopped and had some time, kind of like you're saying.
One thing that really made me feel welcome in that particular congregation was the way that everybody was so excited to see us every Sunday.
Oh, I love that. That's how it should be.
We even were able to get coffee with our pastor before we went entirely online again.
Sure.
And so that was really great, just getting to know her. We chatted for like 2 hours, Gladys and me.
Yes,
So I really enjoyed that.
That's great. I think, face-to-face community and time together, like it's unmatched, it's unpaired. So unpaired. I don't think that's a thing.
Unparalleled, maybe.
Unparalleled. Good.
That was what you meant to say.
Thank you.
So throughout last semester, and we're trying to get it started again this semester, a friend of mine who is in, it's called Crew. It's like a...
I've heard of Crew.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So,
I played music for Crew, me and my roommate.
So for anyone who's not familiar, it's just a Christian club, mostly for universities, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So she is an intern with Crew. So her whole thing right now, post-college, is just like sharing her testimony, working with people. So I started attending like a regular, I wouldn't really call it a Bible study, but it is centered on like verses in the Bible. Attending that with her and a couple foreign exchange students from Latin America. Wow. So that was something I've been really enjoying, and it's definitely out of my comfort zone, which I think is good.
That's awesome.
I feel like I'm definitely growing a lot.
Tell you what, my favorite phrase ever. This would be my answer to the question of, the best piece of advice I've ever heard. There's no comfort in the growth zone, and there's no growth in the comfort zone. And there's so much truth to that. I think to go on what you're talking about there is like joining your group, was out of your comfort zone, but it's done so much for you. It sounds like it's really like blossomed you. And so I'd encourage all those viewers out there that aren't plugged in with somebody to find a group that you can really plug into and share your life with, because we're not meant to do it alone. We're definitely meant to be in community. We're built to be in community with others. So as you're talking about getting involved in a group, is that a decision that you made solely on your own, or was there someone that kind of pushed you or encouraged you to join something like that?
So it's definitely all on my friend Sierra. So she's the one who works with Crew. And we actually met through Linguistics Club, so like this unrelated thing. And then like the crossover was that I think she was an officer in Crew at the time, and so she's like, "Oh, by the way."
Oh, I
so
love
that was a really nice
stories
connection.
like that. Absolutely. Gosh.
And she's just been really good at like keeping me accountable, I think, and making sure like I show up to the meetings.
Yeah.
And also that I'm comfortable.
That's fantastic. God works in such awesome, cool, mysterious ways. So kind of like I mentioned before about how there's just such a huge transition from high school to college, what were some of the challenges you had to overcome, and what were some of those changes that you saw in your life that kind of set your life on a different trajectory?
So you know this, but probably people watching or listening don't. I actually started college as an aerospace engineering student. And I think I did enjoy my classes, and I thought the idea of being an engineer was very interesting and something that I could do for my like lifelong career. But I was like very isolated as an engineering student. My first couple years of college, and it wasn't really until I started going to events on campus, like free lectures on certain like literary topics, that I really felt like I was part of a community.
Sure.
And so that was like the main reason I switched majors, and I've really found a home, I think.
Oh,
like
I love hearing that.
in the English department.
Oh my gosh.
It's really great because it's a small department. Everyone knows each other, and I just love everyone who works there. And it's like open doors and opportunities for me. For example, I've become way more involved in like diversity issues. So I've joined clubs on campus. I've like starting up a new chapter of Malaya movement for Filipinos in America here in Kansas.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm just like, I feel so much more integrated and like connected to people.
Absolutely. I think that isolation is so hard. And I know, if you're combining that with the turmoil and stress that engineering and the rigor that engineering brings, then it's hard. I totally get you. So I'm so glad that you found your family and your community and you're really getting plugged in and integrated. And that's awesome. And I truly I think that you do a wonderful job in anything you do, but I'm so glad that you are happy in what you're doing because, it's a long, sad life if you're not enjoying what you're doing and enjoying your living. So if you have watched before, you will know there's a trend, and that trend is always ending out asking, what is the best piece of advice that you've heard or someone has given you throughout your life?
Mm-hmm. So I thought long and hard about this.
Good.
I was like, maybe something my grandma told me, like something like that can be applied to anyone is super universal and like
it's a big
just
question.
mind-blowing.
Right?
And then I was like, nah. I was like, I don't need to like pretend to this like greatness or whatever. So what I came up with was something my therapist told me, and that is to hold yourself to the same standards you hold others.
Oh, wow.
So like I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I think I hold myself to like a higher standard than I do others.
Yeah.
And so I'm working on like treating myself the same way I treat others, and like being kind to myself, I guess.
Yeah. That just came up today. We treat ourselves almost the worst out of anybody. And it's like, would we ever say what we're telling ourselves to someone else?
Yeah.
It's like the answer is almost always no. Why would you say those things to yourself? So I'm glad. That's a great piece of advice. Okay. On a separate, more musical note, pun not intended there. That was good. Musical note. Anyway, I might actually cut that out. That was really cheesy. So I love music, as you know. So I try to ask everybody, get some new tunes. If you need some new music in your library, what's your favorite worship song right now, or just song in general?
I guess in terms of like worship music, I'm very old school.
That's okay. No, we had a hymn mentioned the other day.
I love hymns, and I'm so bad at remembering the ones that like the title is the first line.
Yes.
I can only remember the chorus, but I like the one that goes leaning on everlasting arms.
I feel like I've heard something. Is it?
It's
not
leaning. Yeah.
Everlasting arms. I think something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we sing that here. Oh my gosh, that's cool. No, that's a great one. I think that's great. My mom was just saying the other day how she loves how people take old hymns and put their new, not new or like crazy, but like a contemporary beat or something to it. It just kind of brings some new life to it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, kind of on that note too. I think one of the reasons I like that song so much is that Vampire Weekend have a song that's influenced by it called Everlasting Arms.
Oh,
that
no
one's
way.
a bit more angsty. It's like religious turmoil, but I like both the songs.
We love some good angst, some teenage angst. That's funny. That's great though. I think, it's fun when we see artists that we love and enjoy do some things like that. So anyway, I want to thank you so much for spending your time here and sharing your heart and your wisdom. I am so excited for everybody to be able to watch this. Abby is just one of the best humans. She's just got a ray of light as a personality. You've been such a great friend, lifelong, and I'm glad that we get to share you, with the internet now. So,
well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you're welcome anytime. So, and thank you out there for watching. Remember to stay safe and stay grounded in God.